New Orleans waterfront is old and dirty and damp, but I like it here. I like the chant of the coal peddler as he plods past my bar on Bourbon Street. I like the call of the blackberry woman who's still singing the same song she sang when pirates hid their loot at John Lafitte's blacksmith shop in the French Quarter. And I like the Mississippi, where a man in a boat can find a dream. Yeah, I like New Orleans. They call me Jason. I call my boat the Golden Fleece.
NBC presents transcribed Jason and the Golden Fleece, starring MacDonald Carey.
You'll find my place in the 800 block on Bourbon Street in the French Quarter of New Orleans. It isn't far from here to the place where they say the blues began. They weren't exactly born here. This is just the first place to admit it had them. And the confession turned out to be a song. I hear that song over and over again. I heard it a month ago in the wheelhouse of my 60-foot cabin cruiser from the tense lips of a lovely opera star who chartered the Golden Fleece to sail away from her loneliness. I heard it last week at a table near the bar in the fumbling words of a tired old man who was trying to rekindle the flames of a lost romance with the background music of my concertina. And I heard it again last Friday night from the nervous boy who looked like he was lost as he walked up to my bartender, Louis Dumont.
Hello.
Hello. Are you looking for somebody?
Why, yes, No.
What can I do for you?
A drink. I'd like a drink.
Huh? How old are you, son?
Is that any of your business?
We've got laws, mister.
Don't worry, I'm 21.
Well, then what will it be?
You heard me. I said I wanted a drink.
Okay, but what?
Whiskey and... just whiskey.
Oui, just whiskey. Jason?
Yeah, Louis, I'll talk to him.
Bartender, I'd like that drink tonight, if you don't mind.
Oui, coming up.
We'll be open a long time, son. What's the hurry?
You keep out of this.
Do you have a driver's license or any identification to show you're of age?
What business is that of yours?
My name is Jason. This is my place. The law says...
I know what the law says. Here's my birth certificate.
Well, happy birthday. 21 right in the nose. Louis, this one's on us.
All right, Jason.
Look, I don't need any favors from you. I can take care of myself.
Think so?
I think so. And I ought to give you a hit in the head for butting in.
I don't think that would be smart.
You don't, huh?
No.
Don't worry, I won't hit you. Don't worry.
I wasn't.
Here's your drink.
Thanks. Sit down, will you, Jason?
Bring me a cup of coffee, please, Louis.
Sure, Jason.
Would you bring me a cup, too, please?
Okay.
I really came here to see you, Jason. I don't want the drink. I didn't mean that about hitting you either. You know something, Jason? I'm a coward.
Here's the cafe.
Thanks, Louis. You can take this glass back if you will. We won't need it.
Sure.
Did you hear what I said, Jason? I'm a coward.
Most of us are in one way or another.
I shouldn't be. I'm Philip Pomeroy, Jr., and my dad's just who you think he is.
The all-American Tulane halfback.
The all-American everything. Phantom Phil Pomeroy, the greatest open field runner ever to come out of the South.
He was pretty good, all right.
Pretty good. He was sensational. I'm sensational, too. A sensational nothing.
You said you wanted to see me. What about?
Your boat, Jason. I'd like to charter your boat for a little trip with my dad. Do some fishing out in the Gulf.
Good. I always enjoy a pleasant fishing trip.
Well, this one isn't going to be pleasant. In fact, I want you to arrange it so it won't be pleasant at all.
I don't follow you.
When we get out in the Gulf, well, something's got to go wrong. Something's got to foul up with the boat, so we're stranded. And you can't fix it. Neither can anybody else, because it'd be too dangerous. But I can, and I do.
You do?
That's right. I'll be a big hero.
You mind giving me at least a rough idea of what this is all about?
This is my 21st birthday, Jason. I want to show my father I'm a man.
He looked up at me like a lonely puppy begging for a bone. So I had to throw it to him. Besides, a trip's a trip and money's money. I have to grab all I can to keep up the payments on a boat like the Fleece. But I was sorry I agreed to his plan the next morning when Louie and I went down to the canal and met Phil's dad. Philip Pomeroy Sr. was close to 50 now, but he was still a college boy. He didn't have a raccoon coat, but he was still wearing his old Letterman sweater.
Nice little tub you got here, Jason.
Thanks.
Toss me that line, Louie.
Here's your phone.
I got it.
Anything I can do to help?
No, we're in pretty good shape.
Well, now, I'm pretty handy around a boat. Do a lot of fishing. Good for business. Get you off alone with an account so you can really talk turkey.
Uh-huh.
This trip will be a good thing for my boy, too. Make a man of him. I've always wanted him to do things like this, but he's always been too interested in books and stuff like that. I never cracked a book all through college.
Some of us have to get everything the hard way.
Oh, that's for the jerks. Personality's the thing, Jason. Got me through school, and it got me head in business, too.
You're lucky.
Oh, it wasn't luck. I planned it that way. You make a lot of contacts playing football. Good contacts. And I used them right. Take my wife, for example. You know who she was?
No. Should I?
Her old man was head of one of the biggest firms in New Orleans. So she fell in love with me. And you know who's head of it now, don't you?
I could guess.
That's right. Phantom Phil Pomeroy. She fell for me like a ton of bricks. She was a nice girl, too. Yes, sir. I married the boss's daughter. She wasn't a bad looker, either. I did all right. Oh, you'll see. She's coming along.
Is Mrs. Pomeroy coming on this trip?
Sure. Why not?
The way you were talking about her, I figured she was dead. You get used to bragging if you go on many fishing trips or talk to many fishermen. Most of it's fun because it's kidding. Pomeroy's bragging wasn't like that. He gave you the feeling you had to believe every arrogant word he said. Back at my place, late the afternoon before we cast off, I met the third member of the great big happy family.
I'm worried about this trip, Jason.
Nothing to worry about, Mrs. Pomeroy. The Golden Fleece is never in better shape, and the weather report looks good.
I don't mean the trip itself. I mean about what might happen to little Phil.
He's a grown man, Mrs. Pomeroy.
Oh, he's legally of age. He can vote, buy a drink, and get married without his parents' permission. You think that makes a grown man?
I owe your husband an apology. I figured he was the one who had the boy convinced he couldn't take care of himself.
And now you think it's my fault?
You just told me how you felt.
Facts are facts, Jason. I don't know whether it's my fault or his father's, but he can't. And I know that at least I've tried to help him grow in independence and self-confidence.
How?
By fighting his father's insistence that little Phil be a football star and all the nonsense that goes with it. Can an unescorted lady get a drink in this place?
We don't stand much on ceremony. What's your pleasure?
I think I'm just about at the double Bergen stage.
All right.
Can't live the kind of life I do without a little anesthetic.
Just how bad a guy is he?
Big Phil? Oh, he's not really bad. He's just no good.
Maybe you should have found that out before you involved the son in this.
Little Phil wasn't my idea. And I found out quick enough. But I come from an aristocratic old Southern family. We don't even talk about divorce, sir. Thanks. Won't you join me?
It's too early and you're going too fast. I got work to do.
Must be wonderful to have something to do. Something real, I mean. You do have something real to do, don't you, Jason?
I think so. I think the sea is real, and music, and people. A lot of things.
Oh, wait till you get to know the Pomeroy. They'll convince you you're wrong about people. Do this again.
You said you were worried about this trip and what might happen to your son. Do you feel like clearing me up on that?
Oh, he's such a little idiot, Jason. He's planned things like this before to impress his dad. Hikes in the Rockies, hunting in South Africa. Anything to make his dad believe he's anything but what he is.
What is he?
Why, he's a sensitive little boy who likes to read and dream. Maybe he's a poet, maybe he's an artist, I don't know. But I do know what he isn't. When he tries to be what his dad thinks he should be, it's dangerous.
What do you want me to do?
Look out for him. Don't let him do anything crazy. He'd jump out into the Gulf into a school of sharks if he thought it would impress his dad. Can you do this again?
That's enough, Mrs. Pomeroy.
Enough? There's never quite enough. I heard a man say that in a speech once. The first one's one too many, and the last one's never quite enough.
We got the Pomeroy family aboard the next morning and were ready to shove off. Phantom Phil was still wearing the sweater with a big T on it, and he was carrying a case of canned beer. His wife had a bulge in her purse that looked like a pint of her favorite anesthetic. The boy was wearing a jaunty new yachting cap that made him for the trip.
No sense taking a fishing trip without a beer or two, is there? You got a refrigerator on this tub?
It's already pretty crowded with stores.
Anytime, Louie. I'm hauling in the lines now. Anything I can do? I'm pretty handy around the boat.
That's what you said.
I'll clear the docks, yes, sir.
All lines in, Louie.
Good.
Can I see you a minute, Jason?
Sure, son, sure. Just as soon as we get clear.
Yes, sir. How about that boat dead ahead there?
Give him a blast, and we'll leave her on our port hand.
Right.
And 2 glass for the starboard. Right, Jason?
That's right, Mr. Pomeroy.
What do you got on this thing? Twin marine diesels?
Yeah, you know your boats pretty well, don't you?
Sure. But fishing's my specialty. Wait till we get out in the Gulf. That's where I shine.
Jason,
Yeah. What'd you want, though?
I wanted to see you alone.
Sure. Come on topside. I got to relieve Louie at the wheel anyway.
That hero stuff is off, Jason.
Oh? Why?
Dad knows too much about boats. He understood those signals, even knew what kind of engines you had.
It doesn't take much to tell gasoline power from diesel, Phil.
Maybe, but
No, I've got an idea that I think will fool him completely. And I think I'll rather enjoy going through with it.
We can't, Jason.
No?
No. Maybe you could fool Dad, but I couldn't fool Mother. I didn't know she was going to go along when I planned this.
You don't think you could fool your mother, huh?
Nobody can. Not even Dad. And I don't want to try.
That kid got more complicated every time I talked to him. He sounded for a moment there like he understood his dad was a big phony. But if he did, I couldn't understand why he was so eager to impress him. Once we hit the rolling Gulf water, the Golden Fleece came to like a fish that's been out in that bad air too long. You'd have thought she never wanted to see land again. And once you were rolling with her, you felt that way too. Grace Pomeroy caught the mood early.
I feel like I've really been taken out of this world.
Did you have any help from the trip?
I haven't had a drink since we left New Orleans. I was too sick the first night, and I've been too fascinated ever since.
Never sailed before?
Oh, we went to Europe, but that was on a big liner. Too much shuffleboard, too many cocktails, dancing, eating at the captain's table. It was like being in a floating hotel.
Golden Fleece isn't exactly a hotel, is it? More like a cheap rooming house.
It's nice. Real nice.
Jason!
One of your roomers wants something.
What's the trouble, Pomeroy?
That idea of yours about cooling the beer cans in the sea isn't much good. And I can't stand lukewarm beer.
Bring a couple of cans up here, and I'll show you a trick I learned in the Navy.
All right. Come on, Sam. Bring a couple of those cans.
If you don't mind, I think I'll leave.
Stick around. You might learn something.
I think you could teach me some things, all right, Jason. But not with him around. Maybe I'll come back for a lesson tonight.
Mrs. Pomeroy,
Yes?
you're a respectable, married, aristocratic Southern lady, remember?
Yes, I remember.
Yeah.
Too bad, isn't it?
Yeah? What's too bad?
I was worried about your beer, darling. But I'm sure Jason will know some way to cool it. How are you, son?
I'm okay, Mom.
I think I'll get out of here.
Well, how are you going to fix this beer, Jason? No sense taking a fishing trip without a beer or two. But I can't stand lukewarm beer.
I told you I could cool it for you, Dad, if it's all right with Jason.
Nonsense. What would a punk like you know about beer?
What was your idea, Phil?
Well, I learned in chemistry that carbon dioxide is cold. So if you'd let us spray these cans with one of your fire extinguishers, Dad would have his cold beer.
That's just what I was going to suggest, Mr. Pomeroy.
What do you know about that? The kid's learning something in college after all.
There you are, Phil. Go ahead. Give your theory a try.
Thanks.
Know how it works?
Oh, sure. You just turn the valve like this.
Hey, that'll do it. Don't waste this stuff. It's good for fires, too.
Yeah, I know. We had one in the prep school dormitory once, and I helped put it out.
What's the matter? That's nothing to be ashamed of, Phil.
That little caper cost me $2,000. The kid also helped start the fire.
Phil turned white as his father began to laugh and left the deck house. When it started to turn dark over the Gulf, I switched on the green and red running lights and plowed through the night. The fishing hadn't been too good, and I was looking for better grounds. Grace Pomeroy came up to help.
I don't take a hint very well, do I?
No, you don't.
You wouldn't be encroaching on anybody else's territory, Jason. He hasn't meant anything to me for more than 20 years. And I'm sure I never meant anything to him, except a chance to get ahead.
That's a nice rationalization. Sorry, I can't buy it.
So you're a Southern gentleman.
No. Just careful.
It wouldn't hurt anyone.
How about your son?
Who's hurting him more, me or his father?
I don't know.
Jason, I've done everything but grab you in the arms. You don't take a hint very well either.
No, I don't, Mrs. Palmer.
You want me to take the wheel, Skipper?
Yeah, thanks, Louis.
Jason, Mr. Pomeroy is coming topside to talk to you.
Louis a handy man to have around, isn't he?
He's a good sailor.
Yes.
Say, Jason, I know where I'd like to go. Up along the west coast of Florida, right in by the reef. I'd like to take a whirl at those bonefish.
That's dangerous business, Pomeroy, and the fish aren't worth it. They're not good eating at all.
Well, who said anything about eating? They're fighting fish, Jason, and I like a good fight.
You're the boss, Pomeroy. I'll plot the course for there if that's what you want.
Yes, go ahead. I'm going below to the compartment and hit the sack. I want to be ready for them babies.
I'll set the course, Jason. You get some rest, huh?
All right.
You see what I mean, Jason? You wouldn't be hurting anybody. Didn't you notice?
What?
My husband didn't even know I was here.
Fishing is tricky along the Florida coast. Those reefs will fool you if you're not careful. And it takes a lot of maneuvering to land one of those bonefish. I was back near the fantail, trying to help Pomeroy without letting him know it. And Louis was steering from the topside wheel. Phil was out with us, too. He hadn't said much since the time his dad laughed at him in front of me. He just stood around, watching.
Ought to be getting some action soon, hadn't we?
Around here someplace.
Hey, Dad, your line.
Oh, yeah, I think I got one.
You sure?
Sure. Feels like a big baby, too.
They don't come too big, but they're strong.
I'll give him a fight.
Get him, Dad.
Watch that line, Pomeroy.
Oh, don't worry about me. I won't lose it.
Slack off a little. Louis, come about and follow that fish. And watch out for that reef.
Right. How we doing?
Take it easy. take a little while.
Oh, I bet you I'll land him in 5 minutes.
If I were a gambler, I'd say it'd take you 3 times that long.
I'll bet you my wife against your boat.
What?
Yeah. Maybe we could put up $100 on the side just to make it interesting.
Now watch it.
Oh, look at that baby.
What was that?
We found it on the reef.
Louis.
Come quick.
How did it happen, Louis?
I could not see it. We're caught on a reef.
Yeah, I figured.
I'm sorry, Jason.
Not your fault.
You want to take the wheel? I'll look below and see if we've smashed their hold.
If we're shipping water, let me know so I can light off the bilge pump. I'll stand by here.
Right.
If there's a hole, start shoring it up. Use mattresses, anything you can get.
Hey. Anything I can do to help?
Just stand clear, Phil. We're in a little trouble.
Could I help Louis down below?
If he needs to, he'll yell. I got to get these engines started again. We're hung up on the rocks.
Jason, there's smoke coming out of here.
The engine room hatch.
It's the engine room. What's your husband doing? Call him. We need him.
He won't come, Jason. What do you want me to do?
Phil, take this fire extinguisher and spray that hatch.
This one? Don't stand there.
Jason, I'm afraid this won't do it. We've used it on Dad's beer.
There's one in the engine room.
I'll get it.
That's where the fire is.
I said I'll get it.
Now, wait a minute, Phil. Stand by here in case Louis needs that pump started. I'll go.
I said I'll get it.
Don't let him do it, Jason.
He's doing it.
I lost him, Jason.
I lost the fish. Why didn't you stand by
We're
me?
trying to save a boat, Pomeroy. We may have flooding forwards, and there's a fire in the engine room.
Louis, what's it look like down there?
Can't tell you.
Phil, the only extinguisher left is down the engine room with the fire. Your son's trying to get it. Help him.
He probably started the fire himself.
What if he did? We've got to put it out.
Do you think I'd go down into that?
Pomeroy, if we don't get that fire extinguisher, you're going to have a tough time getting a cold can of beer on the way home. The engine room hatch was jammed, and the smoke coming out had traces of flames in it, but Phil kept trying. He was kicking it, but it was giving up. But I knew that by the time he had it open, the hole would be a furnace. Pomeroy didn't seem impressed.
How do we get out of this?
There's life preservers in the dinghy, but we've still got a chance to save the Fleece.
Look, Jason, you're responsible for our lives. The devil with your boat.
I'll take every precaution.
We're lucky, Jason. No water.
Good. Stand by here while I help the boy.
He's got it open and he's going in.
Careful, Phil.
Where is it, Jason?
I'm coming in. I'll show you.
You stay out before you can prove it, here. I got it.
Give it to me.
I can handle it. Stay up there. So you can get the boat loose.
No, not on top of the flames, Phil. Hit the bottom.
Right.
That's the way, boy. That's the way. All right. I'll take it. I'm on out.
I can't, Jason. I can't.
Hold on to me. That ought to do it.
Is it out, Jason?
Yeah. Oh, that was close.
Is my boy all right, Jason?
Yeah. He's all right. Phil, I thought you told me you were a coward.
I am, Jason. I was scared to death.
Being scared doesn't make you a coward. Everybody's scared. It's what you do when you're scared that counts.
I wanted to run.
Why didn't you?
I couldn't, I guess.
But you didn't have to come down here.
Yes, I did, Jason. It was my fault. I started the fire.
He didn't faint. He just collapsed from exhaustion. His clothes were scorched and torn, and his hair was burned. There were big, ugly welts around his face and neck. But he looked a lot better than I'd ever seen him before. By the time I dragged Phil out on deck, Louis had us clear of the reef, and we headed home. When we tied up, they all said goodbye, but they said it in a way that made me realize I'd see them all again. Pomeroy was the first to arrive.
I was wondering about that fire. Did it damage your boat much?
It'll be all right.
I know the boy wanted to pay for the trip, but I'd like to offer a little something extra because of that fire. I'm getting used to it.
Paying off for Phil, you mean?
I'd rather not talk about it. How much did you come to?
Put your checkbook away, Pomeroy. I carry insurance. Anyway, I don't think Phil started that fire.
I've known that kid longer than you have. I know how he is.
Think so?
He's my son, isn't he?
I said he didn't start the fire. And he didn't start the one in the prep school dormitory either.
Oh, then who did?
You did?
Now, wait a minute.
You didn't have the idea or light the match, but you started the fire, Pomeroy.
What are you talking about? I was miles away.
You've never been very far away from that boy. Every time he looks over his shoulder, he sees you. And every time he sees you, he realizes he isn't what you think he should be.
Well, he isn't.
He isn't a football star, if that's what you mean. So, since he can't run 89 yards through an open field, he starts fires and puts them out.
But I don't want him to do that.
I won't do it anymore, Dad.
Phil, how much of this nonsense did you hear?
It isn't nonsense, Dad. It's true. I didn't have to hear it from Jason. I figured it out on the way home. Now that I understand, well, it won't happen again.
Well, maybe you understand it, but I don't. I think it's a lot of crackpot nonsense.
You think a lot of things are crackpot nonsense, Dad, and that doesn't make it so.
Well, you've never talked like this to me before.
You've got to get used to me talking differently. I'm a man now, Dad. Maybe not the kind of a man you wanted me to be, but I'm a man. My kind of man. And that's the kind I'm going to be from here on in.
Are you trying to say I haven't been a good father?
I'm saying a boy needs somebody to love and somebody to love him, no matter what he is, no matter what he does.
Yeah. I guess you're right. A man needs that, too.
Let's go home, Dad.
Yeah. Let's go home. Goodbye, Jason.
Goodbye.
Thanks, Jason. Turned out to be a pretty good trip. Thanks.
Don't thank me, kid. I didn't do anything for you.
There's one more thing you could do.
What's that?
Mother's outside.
You'd better not keep her waiting.
She's not waiting for us. She's waiting to see you.
What gives you that idea?
I'm no kid, Jason. Help her if you can, will you?
You're the only one who could help her, Phil.
How?
Take her home to your dad. The Golden Fleece means many things to many people. To some, like Pomeroy, it's the struggle for wealth and power. To others, like his wife and son, it's the search for love and understanding. But each of us has his goal, and each his search.
A load of gold upon my back, I sell my coal.
The coal peddler will always be around with his lonesome chant, and the haunting call of the Blackberry Woman will be heard in New Orleans till the end of time. Next week, we'll be sailing from here again, searching with somebody new. We'd like you to be with us aboard the Golden Fleece.
Jason and the Golden Fleece, starring MacDonald Carey with Bill Conrad as Louis Dumas, is written by Cleve Herman and Herb Ellis and directed by Art Jacobson. Original music is composed and conducted by Frank Worth. Also heard tonight were Jeanette Nolan as Grace, Bill Johnstone as Pomeroy, and Gil Stratton Jr. as Phil. This is NBC, the National Broadcasting Company.